right, we'll begin with comments by pro-North socio-political organization, Arewa Consultative Forum, and some prominent voices from the region asserting strongly that the North cannot be coerced into re-electing President Bola Tinubu in 2027. And the ACF and other northern leaders made the statement over the, quote, no vacancy remarks by the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, asking the North to wait until 2031 before vying for the presidency. Ganduje had in his statement warned northern politicians nursing presidential ambition in 2027 to bury the idea, vowing that President Bola Tinubu will complete his second term in office in line with rotational policies of politicians. And more powerful northern voices have also joined the ACF to lash out at Ganduje, saying that no individual can claim to be the mouthpiece of the North, and as such it was wrong of him to have asked politicians in the North to wait until 2031. But an APC chieftain in Kano State, Musa Ilyasu Kwankwaso, has however dismissed the political influence of the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, saying it lacks the power to stop President Tinubu from securing a landslide victory in the North in 2027. So, is there a vacancy in Aso Rock in 2027 or not? Well, to help us understand the conflict of interest, we have joining us in the studio a political strategist and a member of the All Progressives Congress, Alwan Hassan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Alwan, you will have seen this. I mean, yeah, we still have some good time ahead, but politically, I mean, it's becoming late in preparing for 2027. Let's talk about some of these voices rising against the comment by the APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje. I mean, could Abdullahi Ganduje have been speaking for the entire party?
Yeah, absolutely. He's right, and
you don't think that was just his own personal opinion?
It is not his personal opinion.
Because it looks like some of your party members are not even sure.
It is the right thing to do as a country of mixed ethnic groups. That's the right thing to do. The president presided over from the northern Nigeria for 8 years. At least, in fact, to be fair, it's only fair for you to allow a southerner reign his 8 years, because that is the political agreement.
If that's the situation, why wasn't Jonathan allowed to complete two terms?
So Jonathan's own was Eradua. It was because of Eradua. It was actually the turn of the northerners. Then Eradua died, and he completed the 2 years. They had the political elitist class had an agreement with Jonathan to be elected in 2011 and serve a term of 4 years in 2015 and step down. In fact, that was one of the issues that made them turn their back against Jonathan. So, but Buhari had 8 years, Somna. Asuwaju has just 2 years. And why the cry of not re-electing him in 2027? Who do they have that will beat Asuwaju in 2027? Any one of them that is presenting himself in 2027 is someone that Asuwaju had defeated in 2023, even when we were disadvantaged by our own federal government. So how do you think, common sense will tell you, Somna, that he is now presiding as president and will allow the same people, either Atiku Obi or Kwankwaso, to defeat him in 2027?
Is it about him allowing them to defeat him, or the Nigerian people saying that they want to have a choice?
But Somna, is it just the opposition that are the Nigerian people? Are we not Nigerians?
Well, no, of course.
Is the chairman of APC not political, or not a Nigerian or a Nigerian politician?
Well, he is, but of course, it's the voters that decide who eventually wins.
So, but I'll tell you, I have my word.
National chairman.
Okay, I have my word. Lock up for me. And my word is ready to vote for Asuwaju, and I'm from Kano. So what can ACF say about that?
Well, they are expressing the satisfaction of people.
So, but they always do that. They always do that.
They say that President Tinubu seems not to be fully on ground in all parts of the North because of hunger.
I would advise the ACF to focus its energy on the state governors. Somewhere there is a lot of money going to our state governors. Nobody holds them accountable. All these groups of ACF northern leaders should be holding state governors accountable. I'll give you an example. There is a state that in the last 1 year had over 400 billion naira collected from Abuja, Bauchi State.
Okay.
Can they now start holding the governors accountable? ACF should write to Governor Bala Mohammed to give them the detail of what he did with 400 billion naira. The same thing applies to all the states. Since Asiwaju removed subsidy, there has been no governor that came to Abuja for bailout. Every state has enough to pay salaries and improve on infrastructure. A lot of them are doing that. Some are doing that. But a lot of them are not doing anything. All they come out to say is people are hungry. How can people be hungry in a state where the governor collected 400 billion naira in just 12 months, for God's sake?
Well, to be fair to you, I mean, you have a point there. Under Buhari, we saw lots of states coming to Abuja to get bailout. But let's get back to this conversation. This politics of turn by turn has been described as being outdated by Dr. Usman Bugaji, who is, I mean, a friend of Atiku, but who is saying that in 2027 he's not going to be backing Atiku and all of that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with him that this politics of allowing somebody to just go for 8 years because he's a southerner or a northerner is outdated? At every end of 4 years, the people should be able to assess and see if the person given the position has done well or not.
So but then he's right, and in 2023, there were northerners that contested against Asiwaju, but he won the elections. Atiku and Konkoso contested from the northern Nigeria, and the northerners voted for Asiwaju. So there has never been a time when the whole country agreed that no northerner or no southerner should contest because it is the turn of a particular region. But this is an arrangement between the parties and
within the political elites, I mean, you may say.
Political parties, even the political parties, so as to have peace and sanity, so as to include everybody in the country. We are a country of diverse ethnic groups. There is no way a particular region will always be the one to lead the country, while we have good hands across the country.
Well, Alwan, your party, the APC, says it doesn't recognize the issues of zoning.
Zoning what?
Zoning of political offices, especially that of the presidency.
I am not aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, it says, I mean, right from in 2019, 2023, when the PDP had its own issues with zoning, the APC kept saying
but I'll tell you
that
this,
it doesn't, zoning is not recognized.
The beginning, the formation of APC was for zoning. Jonathan was rejected because the northern Nigeria and other southerners felt it was the turn of a northerner to be president.
Well, the APC says it's progressive, that it doesn't.
So who is the APC? I'm an APC member, Sumner. So you're telling me, and I'm telling you this, that.
Yeah, but you say you don't have it in your constitution.
It is not in the constitution, but it's an
agreement. But Ganduje is saying that because Tinubu has been there, he should be allowed to go for a second term. Isn't that zoning?
Not allowed per se. Nobody is saying members from the south in our party or in the north in our party should not contest primaries when it's time for primaries. Nobody is telling anybody not to.
Well, he's asking northern politicians not to come out and contest against
as a party chairman, he can advise his party. He can advise his party members to give the sitting president a right of first refusal. We did the same to Buhari in 2019. And that's what the party chairman is doing with Asiwaju, maybe. So, but then anybody can be allowed to contest primaries. But I assure you that Asiwaju will defeat them. Asiwaju will be president of 8 years in this country by his grace.
Will he defeat them because he's in charge of the National Working Committee of the party, or he will defeat them if there's a fair ground for a fair level playing ground for everybody in the APC?
Asiwaju will defeat them because of the peace Asiwaju brought to Nigeria. Asiwaju will defeat them because of the bold policies he took on, and he is firm on them. I'll give you examples. Just recently, I watched a documentary on TVC by Babajide. He went to Birnin-Gwari, where...
That's in Kaduna State.
Yes, where the insecurity hit the most in the last few years. A farmer that when you meet on the street, Sumner, you think that this person doesn't have 100,000 naira. One farmer made 1.4 billion naira just last year.
Well, we are at a right.
Why? Because
actually started
why?
that
Because
conversation.
yes. Why? Because why? Because there was peace in Kaduna State. There was peace for people to go to the farm and produce and now sell to the market. If you look at that person that was interviewed, you would never believe that he has produced 20,000 bags of rice, 10,000 bags of maize, worth 1.3 or 4 billion naira. This is why the price of commodities like rice in the market has fallen to 60,000 naira, because of supply. There is enough security. In fact, even the governor of Zamfara State, that happens to be a PDP member, came out to say that there is peace in Zamfara. Why? Because of the military on ground. Why do we not want to give credit?
But well, in the midst of this, we have also seen the issues of insecurity escalating to in one way or the other.
To where?
A former NYC Director General, who is a retired military general, Major General Siga, is currently in the hands of
so I'll give you, so I'll give
and
you,
they are asking for 400 million naira.
I'll give you an example of a style of leadership of Kaduna State, Ubasani. It is not that there is no killings going on in southern Kaduna, but the style of leadership of Ubasani has made the Christian minority believe that they have a government today. I have watched a reverend father saying they appreciate him because he appreciates them. He brings them close and makes them feel that this is their government. 4 or 5 days ago, there were killings in southern Kaduna. None of them is coming out to cry and say it's Muslims that came to kill them. Why? Because a Muslim leader is involving them, showing appreciation and considering them. This is what every northern governor should apply in his state where he has Christian minority. And this is what we heard about Sardauna. This is why even the Christians that were under Sardauna respected him and loved him so much, because he was not dividing us across religion. And that is the only way the North will be stronger.
Well, I was only just making reference to that issue because that retired Major General is still in the hands of his abductors. These bandits and the issues of insecurity that persist. And this time, in the home state of former President Buhari, Katsina, is where this happened. In fact, I was told he's also a member of the All Progressives Congress.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. Yeah. It's something we cannot help. Nobody will want such a thing to happen, not to even the lowest person in the society. I am sure and I believe the NSA is coordinating the service chiefs and all institutions to get him out.
Alwan, let's talk about 2027 from the perspective of the gang-up that's currently ongoing. You would have heard Malam Nasser El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, you know, saying lots of things, reacting, nervously at times on social media to some of the things happening, including his son, who happens to be a federal lawmaker. El-Rufai is not someone that should be pushed aside. He's building a coalition. You would have seen former Vice President Atiku Abubakar visiting former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta during the week. You would have seen these moves here and there.
Somna.
Don't you think that this coalition is something that President Tinubu's camp should be afraid of? Okay.
Somna. The same Malam Nasuru, Amechi, Malami, Tambuwal, Atiku told us the same thing. I, Alwan, was part of it, told us the same thing in 2014. The same thing they're saying, the same script they're selling to Nigerians. They told us the same thing in 2014. We believed with them, supported them, and they won the elections. We won the elections in 2015. They all occupied offices. For 8 years, Somna, we defended them even when they were wrong. None of those people, and I want anybody that has ever called on Alwan or any one of us to say thank you, pick their call, pick their phone and call us to say thank you, not even thinking of calling us for an invitation or giving us contracts. Sometimes we come here to defend them. When we go out, people that do not know us will always say, well, they've given us money. We defended these people for 8 years and they've not done anything. Anything. So
you say they're as guilty as what they are actually saying about this government?
Of course. The same thing they told us in 2014, and they were in government for 8 years. These same people are telling the same crowd Or maybe a different crowd, not us, because they can't tell us what they're saying. Because we knew and we had them for 8 years. Amechi was minister for 8 years, very close to the president. A person that the president was calling my friend. None of them, and we were always here, Sumner, supporting and defending them. People thought they were giving us money. I swear, people that don't know us, when we go out, they will say we have collected money. Yeah. None of them even called for an appreciation of thank you.
Well, these are political players who have supporters. So and that's what I'm saying.
That to tell you that we were patriotic. We were doing it for our party. We were doing it for our country.
And that's what I'm asking you.
I will still do it.
All these people are coming together to stand against President Tinubu. You think
let me tell you,
that he will be able to scale through?
You see this man, Ashwaju. You see this man has a way of turning calamity into victory. We would never have an opposition. Asiwaju will never face an opposition like we faced in 2023. And he turned that calamity into victory. We would never have such in 2027.
I don't think you'll be listening to Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, who's also part of those, looking not just within their parties, but looking outside, building a broad coalition of progressives.
The House of Rep member in Governor Bala Mohammed's local government is an APC member today in the House of Reps. What can he say about that? If you cannot win your constituency as a PDP member, what can you say about winning Nigeria? Let's not be talking about lightweight politicians.
In your own estimation?
Yes, of course. Bala is a lightweight politician. We defeated him in 2015. He was BDP doing Jonathan. We defeated him in 2015. And because of our party issues in 2019 and our members in Bauchi State were not cooperative, he won the elections. It was not because we couldn't win the elections. It was because of an internal crisis we had in Bauchi State that made him win the election over former Governor Emi. But we will never allow it to happen again.
And you're not afraid of this broad-based coalition?
I have never been afraid of them. Yeah, common sense will tell you, these are people Asiwaju defeated.
Yeah, and they said that Asiwaju
because he's afraid. As a normal Nigerian, as a candidate, not a sitting president, defeated them.
Well, if he did, he defeated them with minority votes. That's what people are saying. That if you look at the trajectory of presidents since the return to democracy in 1999, Asiwaju has the lowest 36% for someone to emerge as president. So if you were the one, wouldn't you be afraid of a coalition being built against you?
So I'll give you this. I'll give you this analysis. You said we won with minority votes. Yes, we won with minority votes. But are you aware that Konkoso owned his movement? While Peter Obi's movement owned Peter Obi, a lot of them are now kicking against what Peter Obi is doing. He's not doing well in the opposition. There is a lot of issues going on in the Labour Party. The opposition is upside down. Before they were saying we were the ones financing the other faction that is trying to push
they're
Abure.
still insisting, including the PDP.
So, but Abure, the Labour Party chairman is now in romance with the faction he said we were financing. Do you understand? So, but then if they are saying that too, that we are financing opposition, who amongst them is financing Amechi and Malam Nasiru against us? Who can finance these two? So it's just politics, Somna Sambo.
All right. Let's continue as to try to talk about the politics in the north. There's also this palpable fear among some sections of the APC that Tinubu may not enjoy the support of the ulamas, the clerics in the north, and we've seen even a Quranic competition being put in place. That when it comes to the north, that there's a subtle anger that's breeding, and Tinubu himself seems to have been reading the signs and is trying to see how he can quickly calm down the volcano that's rising.
Both you and I are northerners, and of course a lot of people faulted that Quranic recitation because we really don't want to bring too much religion into politics. So of course I didn't even understand what it was, but I heard ulamas kicking against it. But there has never been a president, let me tell you, there has never been a president that has had support of northern ulamas, and he's still having. I swear. I speak to them once in a while, and I see them go to visit him sometimes. I think they visited him like twice or three times, and I hear the sermon in the mosque every Fridays. So it's not what people say that it's what it is. In fact, we're working on the Christian community that even rejected a Muslim ticket. We're working on that. Ubasani is helping us sorting them out. All of them are saying they're going to vote for Ubasani. That's a 500,000 vote that we never had from Kaduna State, from Kaduna South. They are saying they will vote for Ubasani, and whosoever Ubasani tells them to vote for. The same thing should happen in Plateau State. The number of Muslims in Plateau State are more than the number of Christians in Kaduna State. But a Muslim cannot be a state assembly speaker in Plateau State. So our governors in the northern Nigeria should try and balance. If you go to Gombe State, a Christian is always the deputy governor, because the Christian community were one of the strongest allies when Gombe was made a state. If you go to Taraba, the same thing. It's either the Muslims are being pressed down or the Christians. So these are the things the northern Nigeria should focus on.
And managing diversity.
And managing diversity.
All right, Alwan, there's also this talk of a brewing issue in the presidency between President Tinubu and Kashim Shettima. Does Kashim Shettima still enjoy the confidence of President Tinubu in the presidential villa?
So has
politically
he, when has he ever not enjoyed?
Well,
that is the
there
question.
There are talks that it looks like a replacement is being prepared for
but the same thing we
ahead
had
of 2027.
The same thing, let me tell you, the same thing we have had since 1999. Replacement of a vice president, impeachment of a vice president, and at the end of the day, they spent 8 years together. These are just naysayers. Vice President Kashim Shettima is doing his job. He's facing, he's focused. Anywhere the president needs to call him for representation, he tells him, he pushes it to him, and he goes and represents the president.
Well, when he's state governor, I mean, Professor Zulum comes out to kick against the tax reforms, and he presides over the National Economic Council, and state governors say that they are rejecting that tax reform. Is that part of the talks that are ongoing that may vanguard the Ashwaji camp?
If governors decide to go against the president, who is the vice president to defend the president?
Well, he was one of them. I mean, just like Ashwaji himself. He was a former governor. Shouldn't that give him leverage to be able to calm down at the National Economic Council meeting?
He couldn't have done that because they all wanted to turn against the president. Let me tell you who are even fault in this is the party. The party should have cautioned Zulum. You cannot be criticizing the policies of your own president. The same party. The party should have cautioned any APC member, any APC governor.
Wasn't he re-echoing the sentiments in the north that the northerners were not happy with the tax reform bills?
So, but how comes they are suddenly happy and they have passed it?
Well, maybe some political magic.
Some place.
You should tell us. I mean,
no, but sometimes
what led to the U-turn by some of these northern governors?
Sometimes it's just politics. It's for you to look at the tax reform, see what you want to change, and that is why it's in the National Assembly. When they said bring it back, the president said let it be in the National Assembly. There is a process in the National Assembly. It will go to public hearing. After first, second hearing, it will go to public hearing. There will be an amendment. People will submit their corrections. It will be adopted on the floor, and now approved and sent to the president for assent.
Well, there were also some talks that first-time governors were being warned ahead of 2027 that if they don't support the president's economic reforms, something may happen to them.
Have you looked at the tax reforms? Have you looked at the 4 items?
Of course.
So, but maybe
they've all been consolidated into one bill now.
So maybe just 1 or 2 had issues. The derivation issue and maybe another one. And it has been corrected by the governors. If you listen to Governor of Nasarawa State, he's the only one, I think, that was outspoken and vocal about it, and he was sincere with the tax reform. You understand? So, but things have been done well, and they have now accepted. So is Zulum going to swallow his vomit? He came out to say he cannot pay salary if these things are done. You know?
All right. As we try to conclude this conversation very quickly, talk to me about why Nigerians should start reconsidering an Ashwaji coming back in 2027, because people on the streets have a different view from members of the ruling party.
What view is that?
Because, in terms of economic terms,
because I know
increasing level of inflation, though, for example, the dollar rate to Naira has been steady
3 months.
For some times now.
3 months.
But why should Nigerians anticipate that if he does get the ticket, that they should vote for him for a second term?
A lot is on the ground and a lot will happen. Ashwaju is a president who wants to go to the wards. There is a plan ongoing for jobs and a lot of jobs and works to go to the wards. I don't want to be open because I don't want saboteurs to come in and sabotage us. There is a lot on ground. This government has 2 years, Samna Sambo. I don't understand how people judge a government of 4 years in just...
well, I mean, it's midterm. Midterm, people have to judge the government based on its midterm report.
So, but as it stands now, 15 million households are getting 50,000 naira monthly from humanitarian ministry. The president has approved the restarting of Empower by this month or next month when NYSC will graduate. The portals are open there to register. Empower will move on. A lot of schemes under the social investment program will continue.
Well, just before I let you go, Alwan, the presidency during the week asked ministers to go and defend the government. And everybody was wondering, if this government was working based on what you said, why does the president need to give express approval to ministers? Why are the ministers not talking?
That is my own view, Samna. That is why I say the government is doing a lot. But its ambassadors are not working. Not more than 3 or 4 ministers speak. And the president had spoken this way in the last 2 years about like 4 or 5 times. My own take is to sack them. Anybody that is not talking should go. We don't need people that will get the papers of appointment and lock up their offices.
Could it be that
a lot of things are going on? I'll give you an example. Because we listen to, because the Minister of Health, the Minister of Health speaks out. Look at the intervention of HIV drugs.
Yeah,
immediately you said withdrew and suspended and paused its funding. The next day, the federal government now approved 4.something billion naira. It is because the minister speaks. That is why we hear all these things. But a lot of things are going on in the ministries and the ministers are not speaking. Why keep them there? Sack them. Sack them and appoint new ones.
And he didn't so much. He only did remove, I think, about 4 or 5 of them. Very quickly, in 30 seconds, could you speak about what the North needs to do more? Because, I mean, Northern leaders seem to be divided over the Ashwaju presidency, especially ahead of 2027. So what should the North be focusing on?
So mine is our government, the federal government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should focus on social investment program in Nigeria as a whole, not northern Nigeria.
All right.
Let's focus on social investment. We're getting it right with the political class. We're getting it right with the good policies of the government. Though they bite a little bit hard, we need to be hands-on on social investment programs so that we mitigate the suffering of Nigerians. I'm fine with that.
All right. We must thank you so much. Alwan Hassan is a political strategist and then a member of the All Progressives Congress. We must thank you so much for your immense wealth of knowledge and understanding of your party matters. And, well, as concerning whether there's vacancy or no vacancy in Aso Rock,
Ashwaju is president till 2031.
That will be left to Nigerian people to decide in 2027. We must thank you so much.